Coming up, we'll talk to the family of a woman still missing after the historic flooding nearly 2 weeks ago.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. We are expecting the potential for more rain and maybe a renewed threat of flooding overnight and into tomorrow. Let's check in first with meteorologist Evan Hatter as our severe weather alert day continues. Evan?
Well, so far so good, Steve, as we went through the nighttime hours tonight. We did have a flash flood warning for parts of Bell County a little bit earlier on this evening, but the good news is we received no major reports out of Bell County, and that warning was allowed to expire on time about 5 hours ago. Pikeville Medical Center camera, all is quiet in Pikeville tonight. The lights are on. Same thing as we head down to I-75 at Mount Vernon, but areas not far from Mount Vernon now dealing with the potential for some showery weather. Pinpoint Doppler look right now. The main action so far today has been up into central Kentucky. This is the only shower we have really in the area right now, crossing from Rockcastle County into Jackson County. So if you're in McKee, you're about to hear some rain on the rooftop as that begins to move towards your area. Maybe a little lightning and thunder, but not detecting much right now. Throughout the area, we're mostly in good shape, but we're not finished yet. This frontal boundary, you can see it just about with the way the showers and storms have developed across the I-69 corridor right up through the northern half of the state. We're not done until that boundary moves through the region as we head into tomorrow. So for tonight, the excessive rainfall outlook just updated a little while ago takes most of us out of that level 2 slight risk. Most of us remain in the level 1 marginal risk overnight. I won't completely rule out that potential overnight, but the main threat is going to be as we head into the day tomorrow. Low to mid 70s, still muggy out there tonight, and it's going to be a muggy day again tomorrow, but changes are on the way. Those details are coming up in a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. Tonight, a Breathitt County family says they are clinging to hope and positive thoughts that their loved one is somewhere safe nearly 2 weeks after the deadly floods. Nancy Cundiff is one of 2 women missing in Breathitt County. Her family is hoping that she is safe at a shelter and is just not able to communicate with them. They opened up tonight to Chad Hedrick.
Driving down Highway 476 in Breathitt County, you'll find total destruction from the deadly floods.
The water was like, we were all almost up to the ceiling.
Troublesome Creek became a raging river that night.
We thought we were going to be pulled out, but with a boat, but nobody came, and the water kept getting higher.
The Cundiff family was holding on for their lives.
Here's where the Cundiff family home stood here on Highway 476 in Clayhole. Across the street is Troublesome Creek, which is down a deep embankment. But in the early morning hours of July 28th, that fast-moving and high-raising water was no match for this home and the family that was stuck inside.
Trailer that came loose from the foundation and was floating down there. Troublesome.
We didn't know how long we were floating.
It's at this point the Cundiff's home broke apart and they were separated. Sister Nancy has not been seen since.
I don't know if she's okay. I don't know how badly hurt she is.
Nancy's mom, Ruby, died in the flood. Her sister and dad are staying positive and praying that Nancy is okay.
I keep saying to myself and everyone, that no news at this point is good news, because if you don't hear any bad news, then that's good.
Every passing day, the family waits to hear from Nancy, her dad, with a simple message to his girl.
I love you. I love you.
We've been through a lot, but we can't give up.
In Breathitt County, Chad Hedrick.
Troopers are also looking for Vanessa Baker. She was last seen at her home in the Lower River Caney Road area. Anyone with information on either women is asked to call KSP Post 13 in Hazard at 606-435-6069. After President Biden's visit to Eastern Kentucky yesterday, some are feeling a bit more hopeful. One place praying for help is Riverside Christian School in the Lost Creek community of Breathitt County. So far, they have made some progress cleaning up the destruction left behind. They say they're keeping the faith and working as quickly as possible, and they still believe they're blessed.
The glass is not broken. It might have a little mud on it, but you know, it's not done for, which can also speak to a little bit of hope that we're not done for. God is still speaking to us just like it did to the people of the Old Testament.
A lot of people on the ground in Lost Creek and all across Breathitt County say they are patiently waiting for help from FEMA, so after they clean up, they can start to rebuild. One day after the president's visit, Senator Mitch McConnell made the rounds in Pike, Letcher, Knott, and Floyd counties. McConnell went to Fleming Neon Middle School, talking with the mayor of Neon, Susie Polis, as well as volunteers and teachers. McConnell gave his support and promised the federal government is in it for the long haul.
These kind of catastrophes, as awful as they are, bring out the best in everyone, the very best in everyone. And we're so grateful for your hope and your optimism. And I want to tell you, from a federal government point of view, state government's involved as well, deeply involved. From a federal government point of view, we're going to be here until the job is finished, no matter how long that takes.
McConnell thanked President Biden for coming to Eastern Kentucky and said the recovery will not be a political statement from either side. McConnell will continue his tour tomorrow. Also in Neon earlier, members of the Belfry football team came to the aid of their fellow Pirates at Fleming Neon Middle, but also this man and his father. They drove from New Jersey and have spent time in Jackson and now Letcher County. After doing search and rescue last week, this week Zechariah Buck is delivering supplies.
Helping the people is what makes me keep going. If I had to do this just on my own strength, I couldn't do it. But when I take my side-by-side or take my truck or the excavator or whatever and go clear out a ravine at someone's house, I help them build back, and the look on their face when they say thank you, that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me going on this stuff.
Zechariah said after they were finished in Jackson, they had no plans, so they just kept on helping. Senator Rand Paul visited with flood survivors and local leaders in Perry, Knott, and Letcher counties today. He heard stories from those survivors and what their needs are, along with what the biggest needs in specific counties are. He says right now they need money to rebuild and says counties should be allowed to dip into their COVID relief money for those efforts.
We're writing a letter to the president, but we're also writing a letter to the governor to get the money as soon as possible and to free it up to let the counties make the decisions best to use it. And it sounds to me like the most pressing thing is the water systems, getting the water systems up and running.
We talked with one flood survivor today who says he hopes Senator Paul will take his story and many others back to Washington. Governor Beshear says search and rescue teams will remain in Eastern Kentucky with the possibility of more flooding in the forecast. He says 190 National Guard members are also in the impacted areas and have delivered more than 38,000 cases of water and meals. The governor expects tomorrow the state will transition from an emergency response to stabilization mode. He says he's hopeful there is not more flooding that hinders recovery efforts.
Certainly, if we can get through tomorrow night without major flooding, we'll be able to allow some of the federal search and rescue folks to go home. I mean, they've now been helping us for a while. But the next 2 days are of significant concern. Folks have been through too much.
And the governor will be back in Eastern Kentucky again tomorrow. He's scheduled to stop in Pike and Letcher counties. The governor says it is likely within the next month there will be a special session in Frankfort to approve flood relief for Eastern Kentucky. Hoping to lift the region they represent on the court, the Eastern Kentucky University men's basketball team stopped by the donation and distribution site at the old JCPenney's in Hazard earlier today. Players and team staff dropped off donations and even helped to unload and organize the other donations being dropped off. For EKU head coach A.W. Hamilton and the rest of the team, representing Eastern Kentucky means more than just wearing EKU across their chests.
Our head manager, Bryce Watts, who's from here, you know, they lost their trailer in the flooding, and while we were in the Bahamas. So that was a very difficult situation for our whole team because how much we love Bryce. So we needed to be here. Our team wanted to be here. We wanted to have an impact and help whenever we possibly could.
Coach Hamilton says he and the rest of the team are proud to represent the region on and off the court, and they hope to continue helping those in need any way they can. Ada Miller is a 4-year-old from Letcher County who has learned how to find the positive in her situation. As Ada was helping her parents clean up their flooded home, she spotted a penny on the ground. Her mom says she jumped with excitement and said, "I'm lucky and I don't even have a home." She told WYMT's Olivia Calfee how it made her feel earlier today.
When I found that penny, I was so lucky and I felt really good.
Ada's parents say she is the most positive 4-year-old and she has been a big help to them during this time. We want to remind you that WYMT is partnering with ARH and the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky to help flood victims. Scanning the QR code on the screen will take you to our fundraiser page for both flood relief funds. For those of you who want to write a check, we have 2 addresses on your screen now. The address for the ARH Foundation Flood Relief is 2260 Executive Drive, Lexington, Kentucky 40505. And for Appalachia Rises, the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, the address is 420 Main Street, Hazard, Kentucky 41701. We're learning more about a crash that killed 3 people on I-75 in Laurel County. The California man accused of causing the crash was back in court this morning. A detective testified about the suspect driving the wrong way and him being under the influence of alcohol. Despite being in and out of consciousness, he also testified they were able to give Joshua Poor a breathalyzer test and he blew a .22.
In the course of getting him out of his vehicle, they suspected that he had been drinking, so they administered a preliminary breath test at the scene, to which Mr. Ford failed.
A judge found probable cause to send the case to the grand jury for possible indictment. The judge also refused to lower Poor's $1 million bond. 3 people have pleaded guilty in connection with the 2020 murder of Jeremy Caldwell. Investigators say Caldwell was shot to death in his vehicle off Highway 490 before the suspects fled the scene and were later arrested. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says Robert Brandon Gray was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Ashley Lewis was sentenced to 20 years, and Freddie Wayne Scalf Jr. was sentenced to 15 years. Gray was charged with murder, Lewis with complicity, and Scalf was charged with complicity and evidence tampering. Their final sentencing is set for September 14th. Former Kentucky Justice Cabinet Secretary John Tilley had his first court appearance today. He entered a not guilty plea for a rape charge. According to his arrest citation, Tilley is accused of having sex with a woman at a downtown Lexington hotel last April. Detectives say the woman could not give consent due to her level of intoxication. Tilley is due back in court August 26th for a preliminary hearing. Coming up on Mountain News 11, what started as a Facebook post ballooned into a multi-party effort to deliver hundreds of items to hard-hit Letcher County.
Plus, we continue to watch the possibility for more heavy rain as we work through the nighttime hours tonight and into the day tomorrow. Full details on the way next.